You know I'm not gonna stay ready.
That's right.
If it's war, then we pulling out the bows. Strictly for my Nagas represent the stronghold. Better put your shield up when my arrows unload. Let's get one thing straight, blackjack will never fold. If it's war, then we pulling out the bows. Strictly for my Nagas represent the stronghold. Better put your shield up when my arrows unload. Let's get one thing straight, blackjack will never fold. Feather in my hat, blackjack. Pull a dart from my back and lay a op out flat. American on my map when the trap hop out. Catch a colonizer lacking, we gon' rip off his scalp and pull his eyeballs out. Send them back where they came from. My Nagas stay dangerous. Pack their ass on the ship and send them back to England. If it's war, my Nagas they line up. Only real Nagas slide with us. Let's tribe up. If it's war, then we pulling out the bows. Strictly for my Nagas represent the stronghold. Better put your shield up when my arrows unload. Let's get one thing straight, blackjack will never fold. If it's war, then we pulling out the bows. Strictly for my Nagas represent the stronghold. Let them put your shield up when my arrows unload. Let's get one thing straight, blackjack will never fold. Solid gold, they host the black magic lump of gold. I was told they labeled you a savage. Strictly for my Nagas to slaughter of Babylon. Pull a sword from the stone, my Naga the house of cons. Point out number pillars, I bet you I make change. By any method necessary, I bring pain. And if you got your peace pipe with you, then fire up. Only real Nagas ride with us, we try for up.
Boom shakalaka!
Great day. Welcome to the House of Cons. I'm Blackjack. Tribe up with me one more time. Salute to everybody in the house. Do me a favor, do your boy a favor. Go on, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. Definitely share the video. That's very important. Share the video. You know YouTube blocking and banning on the Nagas, so we gotta share our stuff with like-minded Nagas, and even with Nagas that ain't like-minded, because we got to get them on the like-minded level. Salute. Y'all see the thumbnail. Y'all see what it is. N-words. Captured from the Indians in Florida. And they saying captured from the Indians like the Indians what the N-words. That's like saying soldiers captured from the military. N-words captured from the Indian groups, because the N-words is the Indians. They think we dumb, right?
You big dummy.
They try to word things in a funny way, but you know, I see right through these things. I see right through them. The N-words is the hostile Indians. And that's the title of the night show. Hostile Indians. Salute. Hostile Indians. The hostile Indians was the ones they was enslaving. A lot of people don't know this, man. A lot of people don't know the real history. They done, you know, a lot of people done read different stuff, and they done seen the Shaka Zulu movies. They don't quite really understand the true history about what happened in America between the colonizers and the Indians. They don't even know who is who for real. A lot of people just confused out here. You know, they didn't know hostile Indians could be enslaved. Indigenous slavery. This meant indigenous people often came into European possession as war captives from allied and hostile indigenous nations. Say it was okay to enslave the hostile, making Indians white, the judicial abolition of native slavery. Under colonial law, the enslavement of hostile tribes was acceptable, fearful of harmful diplomatic consequences, however. So they say the hostile Indians, they say it was okay to enslave them. And we see these hostile Indians being captured, these Negroes captured from the hostile Indians in Florida. And they got enslaved, huh? And this is from the Secretary of War, my Naga. It said, disposition of the Negroes and other property captured from the hostile Indians. Salute. It's called you a hostile Indian. Sometimes they called you an urban Indian.
That's why they call your neighborhood urban right now. But you know, it's funny. It's funny a lot of the stuff they say, and then you know you can see how they try to. A lot of these modern day so-called historians, they really trying to make sense of the past themselves. They really making their own assumptions. That's why they always saying they feel or they think or they're assuming. They really don't know. They just looking at the evidence and they coming up with their own conclusions. And nothing is stopping us from doing the same thing. Salute. With all these different sources. Hey, this is funny. Making Indians white. They weren't white. What was they? Say making them white now.
Darkness, everybody! Everyone! Darkness is spreading!
Red Indians, black slavery, and white racism. These people killed me with some of the stuff in here. They say the hostile Indians. I'm just making some points about these hostile Indians. Look at that. Freedman, Encyclopedia. Americans enslaved by many tribe members. The transition of these racial solidity grew. Know your black history. Slave revolts. As Native Americans had increasingly hostile encounters with ever encroaching European settlers, they became natural. They're gonna say they say allies were African. Hostile or rebellious Indians who might run away or foment rebellion. I thought they said the Africans would run away. Hey, Saf in the house, salute, tribe up. Indian slavery in colonial Georgia. Tribes cannot live without war, and therefore many hostile Indian slaves are bought and sold to the Europeans. 1772. Hostile Indian slave. So we look back. The title is Negroes Captured. Negroes, Indians, same thing. This thing could have said Indians captured from the Negroes in Florida. Or Negroes captured from the Indians. All the same thing. And we got the picture of the Bone Savage Naga on there just to prove it. Because that's why we got to reinforce the truth and what we know. But let's get into it, y'all, about these hostile Indians. Salute. Salute to everybody in the house, man. Now, this thumbnail image, which I had it in the community chat too. I had the fuller image in the community chat to kind of show people what it's about. And I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all where it come from, because you know what I'm saying, I always got the sources for you. See, in the community chat I had the fuller picture. Boy, that's yeah, this is official historical records. The 25th Congress, a 3-day session on December. I mean, it's the doc number 228. House of Representatives, the War Department. So I told you, Nagas, the doll's roll ain't what's up.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
You want to get the real info, you got to go to the War Department and all that kind of stuff to find out where you Negroes really got kidnapped from, and it wasn't West Africa. Negroes captured from the Indians in Florida. Letter of the Secretary of War. Information required by a resolution of the House of Representatives. House of Representatives is official. Got that Bone Savage Naga looking you dead in your face to let you know what it is beyond the hijack. But before we read about this document, I must say they're always telling us, yeah, you were free, man. You was a slave. The Indians, you was a slave of the Indians. You was a freedman. You was Indians. The Indians had slaves. I guess the Indians bought slaves from Europeans, or the Indians suppose somehow went to Africa and stole. I guess the Indians went to Africa and stole Africans too, huh?
You big dummy.
How the Indians get Negro slaves? And what did they buy them from the white people? I thought they said the Africans were escaping from white people. How they turn out to be a freeman? So you gotta ask yourself these dumb questions, right? And we look back at this from we was looking at the other day, this military roll, the list of Negroes who have been captured by the troops at Fort Jupiter in East Florida from the 23rd of February 1938 to the present day. List the Indian Negroes. It don't say slaves. It say Indian Negroes. Now you got owner's name over here, and we looked at before. These are family members. Harriet Bowlegs, Jack Bowlegs. Look, baby Harriet. It's not a slave master, that's a mother. Harriet Bowlegs, Hester, Fanny. We already discussed this, the child of these people, the children of families. And to even make it more clear with all these Negroes. All these Negroes. Go to page 2 to make a point clear. Because they told you that you got in the tribe because you was an escaped African slave and you intermarried with the Indians. They told you all these lies. And then they even told you, well, you was a slave of the Indian. But when you look at this list, the slaves were only a few. Here go the slaves of the citizens of Florida. This is a very small list of 14 slaves and 151 Indian Negroes, 165 warriors, 123 women and children. The 14 slaves are most likely Indians from other tribes that they was at war with. Not no African slaves escaping from white people and joining Indian tribes and becoming a freeman all of a sudden. If that's the truth, if the slaves were Africans that escaped from slavery and the only way they in the Indian tribe is because they escaped from slavery and they intermarried with the Indians and they learned the languages all of a sudden, knew how to find them all of a sudden. It was only 14 of them. What the other 151 Negroes is then?
You big
They
dummy.
not slaves. How they become Indians? How the majority become the Indians? Because those ones you call the slaves, if they did escape from Europeans, they got back to their tribe, the Indian Negroes. They didn't intermarry and join the Indians and become Indians. No, the Indians was Negroes. All 151 of them with 165 warriors. Yeah, the Negroes, see, y'all were slaves of the Indians. That's why y'all freemen. Y'all ain't on the dog's roll, you on the freeman roll because you was a slave of the Cherokee. What about the other 151? Well, yeah, y'all escaped from Africa and y'all escaped from the white man. And y'all somehow found the Indians and you knew how to speak the language and you blended right on in. How you blend right on in? Because the Indians was Negroes. How did the escaped slave blend in? How did he know how to find the Indians? How did he know their languages? How did he blend in with them? But the Indians was Negroes? Is that the truth? Because we're looking at the records. And the records show a small number of slaves and a vast number of Indian Negroes. So your story don't add up, unfortunately, especially when we look at Oklahoma Historical Society freedmen. The forced removal of the 5 tribes from their homelands in the southeastern United States to Indian Territory in the 1830s also included African Americans. How many? 14? All right, let's go and we'll give you 14. We'll give you 14 African Americans. Let's go and let them have them, y'all. We're gonna let them have the slave. We're gonna go ahead and go along with them. Wink, wink. They was African Americans. Well, what about the Indian Negroes? What about the other 151? It ain't adding up. The math ain't mathing. What about the other 151 Indian Negroes? Okay, you covered the slaves, the 14 freedmen. I guess they was African American, enslaved by many tribe members. The transition of these slaves to American citizenship is unique in the history of race relations in the United States. It was a journey filled with contentious negotiation among factions of the Indian nations. So you mean the Negro Indians was deciding whether or not to let the slave niggas be Indians? The federal government, capitalist developers, black and white agricultural colonizers, and the freedmen themselves Efforts to secure the rights of the freedmen represented one aspect of the struggle that ultimately opened Indian lands to non-Indian settlement. So see how they explain you away, Manaka. They try to explain you away, erase you. You all of a sudden African. Here they talk about the runaway. The slaves were look. As the Civil War began, tribal factionalism that began at the time of removal resurfaced in violence over the issues of slavery and sectional loyalty. Some Indians declared their allegiance to the Union, but other groups from all of the 5 tribes signed agreements with the Confederacy to provide supplies and troops. The slaves were caught in the crossfire. The war in Indian Territory began with an attack on loyal Creeks, Cherokees, and runaway slaves retreating toward Kansas. Okay, runaway slaves, it wasn't that many, like I say. It still wasn't that many. It was only 14. What about these other Negroes? 14 freedmen and the rest Indians. Well, you separated them nicely on this record, on this war record. Slaves are the citizens of Florida, which we know is really either their family members or otherwise. Calling them slaves. What about all these Negroes though that ain't on the slave list, that just listed as Indian Negroes? What about them? They don't work with your story. They don't work with your story of freedmen or any of that. They ain't escaped. These Indian Negroes right here are not escaped slaves from Africa. The Naga name is Miko Potake. He's not an escaped slave from Africa. Explain these Negroes. He's not a freedman. He was born free. Explain these Indian Negroes. But that's all right. We'll just lay the foundation and we'll get explaining it for you, because we know you don't have an explanation. You're just going to make up some lies. So we on the governmentinfo.gov, and it's talking about the Negroes captured from Indians in Florida. Letter from the Secretary of War transmitting the information required by a resolution of the House of Representatives of the 28th ultimo respecting the disposition of Negroes and other property captured from hostile Indians during the present war in Florida, February 27, 1839. And we'll take a look at the let's roll down some. Alright. Actions and defenses, booty, international law, fugitive slaves, Indian captivities, Indians of North America, Indians of North America. These are just the subject matter they got down here, right? Let's go to the document then, see what they talking about. Hey, Sal say Miko mean chief. Facts. Negroes captured from Indians in Florida. Hey, see, one thing about us over here, man, we don't just get on here and be capping like a lot of people be doing. We ain't no internet YouTube cappers over here. We don't be capping like that. We don't be on here with no pet rallies. We be on here studying for real. And we put out sources that you probably ain't seen nowhere else, because a lot of these knockers don't be studying for real. They just be on here regurgitating shit and just capped out for real. But like, who be really pulling it out though? I know it's a few researchers on YouTube that be doing the thing, but man, I ain't never seen nobody pull out these war documents showing you the Indian Negroes. I ain't seen nobody else do it. So I feel it's our duty in the House of Cons to show it to the world. We're talking about a letter from the Secretary of War. Knockers don't even be looking at letters from the Secretary of War. They be wanting to look at other goofy ass shit. But it's all good though. The information required by a resolution of the House of Representatives of the 25th ultimo, Monaga, we just read that. The disposition of Negroes and other property captured from hostile Indians. They say they can enslave the hostile ones. They say, your ass hostile, you a hostile little nigga.
They not like us.
Et l'Amérique négrée.
They say, your ass getting enslaved. It makes sense. I mean, if the Indians was looking like that, why go to Africa? Plus, You trying to clear the land, not add more. You trying to make room for your people. You ain't trying to bring Africans. You trying to get rid of these niggas already over here. You said you got to slay these niggas to do something with them. Sir, this is the War Department, February 1830. Sir, I have the honor to transmit herewith reports of the Commanding General of the Army and the Commissioner of Indian Affairs, which together with document number 78 of the House of Representatives, two-day session, 25th Congress, contain the information so far as it is in the power of the Department to furnish it, called for by a resolution of the House of Representatives of the 28th ultimo respecting the disposition of these Negroes and other property from the hostile Indians. The names of persons impressed into the military service in the territory or employed as guides, interpreters, or pack horsemen, and requiring copies of correspondence between the department or the officers in command of the forces in Florida or citizens of that territory on the subject of Negro or other property lost by them in the war. See, you notice the Indians ain't, with the hostile Indians, you notice no red men wasn't lost because they didn't exist. The red man was nowhere to be found. The war captives was Negroes in the Indian War. They say, and especially such as relate to the property recaptured from the hostile Indians. Subject of the Negro. Very respectfully, your most obedient servant. I'm not gonna say your most, that's not a slave. I'm gonna say very respectfully, your most obedient. I ain't nobody's servant, man. It's Luke Bronze Flat Power Guard, guys. You're not gonna say your most obedient servant, man. What kind of, that's some beta male shit. House of Representatives respecting the disposition. Okay. What they say? Adjutant General Officer. Sir, in answer to the first paragraph of the resolution of the House of Representatives of January 28, respecting the disposition which has been made of such Negro and other property has been captured from the hostile Indians, I respectfully submit herewith copies and extracts of certain orders and correspondences which have been received from the Commanding General in Florida, to wit, copies of orders numbered from 1 to 13, inclusive Mar A, copies of letters numbered 1 to 62, inclusive. But it says a lot of paperwork straight out of Florida. They told you, they got your ass out of Africa on the slave ship. The slave ship is non-existent. They can't even find a piece of wood floating and show you, say, oh, this is a slave ship. They can't tell you what part of Africa. Can't tell you no dates. Can't tell you nothing. But all of a sudden, know about Negro Indians getting captured. Boy, they got 62 pages. Letters, generals, dates, tribes, the Creek Indian, Creek warriors. Recognized agent of the Creek warriors. Number from 1 to 4. They got very much a whole lot of details and dates. 1838. Slavery ended in 1865, so they say. The judgment of the court at New Orleans. Dates and places of his objection thereto relative to the claim therein mentioned to 67 black prisoners of war. Where the red ones at? I thought y'all was fighting Indians. Oh, the Indians sweating red. Dunmore family in the house. The Indians was Negro, huh? Brought from East Florida with the Seminole prisoners of war. This office can furnish no information in relation to the school, to the second and third paragraphs of the resolution. Respectfully submitted. Now, what's funny about all this, when we continue reading, you gotta ask yourself, what they do with these Negro Indian prisoners? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. They sold them into slavery. The U.S. got their hands dirty and they owe you more than reparations. But you just gotta know how to give them. You can't go with the wrong argument. You gotta have the right argument. They do owe you. They owe you land and everything else. They owe you their ass for real. But you got an argument. You talking about an African slave, you gonna get nothing. You got the wrong argument. The U.S. government and the military know exactly what they did. They got the records. They know who they captured and sold as slaves. Negro Indians. They're telling you what, this is what the disposition of what to do with these Negroes and property. This is what this is about. They sold it. The commanding general has reason to believe that the interference of unprincipled white men with the Negro property of the Seminole Indians, if not immediately checked, will prevent their immigration and lead to a renewal of the war. Responsible. See, this all before the so-called Trail of Tears and going to Tulsa and Indian Territory. See, this was all a little bit before that, 1839, 1830, 1840. Remember, Black Wall Street was in 1910, 1920. Responsible as he is for the peace and security of the country, he will not permit such interference under any pretense whatsoever, and he therefore orders that no white man not in the service of the United States be allowed to re-enter any part of the territory between the St. Johns River and the Gulf of Mexico south of Fort Drane. The Inspector General will cause all merchant or transport vessels arriving in this harbor to immediately examine and the names of all individuals on board to be registered. Yeah, they register the name. They know exactly who coming on and off every ship that come here. They know exactly who coming on and off. Lying about slave ships is not gonna cut it. Talking about then you all of a sudden, oh, I don't know where the slave ship at. You're lying. Kept records of everything. There was no slave ships. That's why you don't have them. Not no slave ships of Africans. Let's be clear. No one will be allowed to come on shore except for the transacting of public business. Vessels from whence any individual shall be landed contrary to this order or on board of which spirituous liquors may be found will be immediately sent off and shall not under any circumstance be employed in the public service. All Negroes now at this place, the property of citizens of the United States, will be sent to, they call you not property of who now? The citizens of the United States who owe you. You're talking about the reparations. Will be sent to St. Mark's. The Inspector General will furnish Lieutenant Vinton a list of them with their owners' names. Lieutenant Vinton will give notice to their owners to take charge of them immediately. The U.S. government facilitating the sale of Indian Negroes stolen and kidnapped from the Seminole tribes in Florida. But you want to go in there talking about you owe some kind of West African reparation. You don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Lovelace in the house. Salute to Lovelace. You want to go in there talking about y'all old black people. You don't know what you're talking about. You want to go in there talking about African Americans. You'll never get anything. The Negro prisoners in the pickets will be sent immediately to New Orleans. All them knockers in New Orleans, yeah. They've been there since the beginning of time anyway. Lieutenant Colonel Miller will furnish a guard of a subaltern, 2 non-commissioned officers, and 10 privates. The officer on his arrival at New Orleans will deliver the Negroes to the assistant quartermaster, who will have the men secured and the women and children comfortably quartered, the greater part of them having been captured by the Friendly Creek Indians, or the fake Creeks. Because remember, we know the real Creeks was Negroes. This is the fake Creeks. Are their property. The Indian prisoners will also be sent to New Orleans with the Negroes. Negroes, Indians, same thing. You know, it's intertwined. They can't never talk about Indian history without talking about the Negro. Because the Negro is the Indian. You go for deception over and over again. The Negro is the Indian. And see, once you know the truth, it's very easy to see through the deception. It's very easy. Very easy to see through the deception. And by the way, if y'all want to read this, it's very long. We're not going to read the whole thing. Look. A whole bunch of paperwork about niggas that they stole from Indians and then sold into slavery. We ain't nowhere in hell we can read all this. But like if you want to investigate this source on your own time here and there, like if you like to read and you want to say, hey, Black Jack, man, I want that source too. Well, here it is. All you gotta do is take your little nutty professor fingers and go on Google and put Negroes captured from Indians in Florida. and you can put letter from the Secretary of War, and you will pull up this document. Salute. Hey, Mickey Cheeb in the house, tribe up. Mickey Cheeb up in this piece. We just gonna gloss through it. I just wanted to point some stuff out to y'all about it. Cause you know, not to be talking about the fake ass dolls roll and all that kind of stuff. That ain't about nothing. It's the military records. If you really want to know what time it is, the Negro prisoners. Ain't no red man. Ain't no red man prisoner. Yeah, okay. They had a count of some niggas they captured, I read somewhere around here. Major Clark would take charge of such of the Seminole Negroes, now here as shall be designated to him. He would take them to New Orleans, unite them with the Seminoles and Indian Negroes there, and cause them to be secured. See, they want to try to play you like the Indian was somebody different than the Negro. It's the same person, man. They just effing around with the wordplay. Major Clark would take charge of such of the Seminole Negroes. Wait a minute, I thought the Seminoles was different. And here, as shall be designated to him, he would take them to New Orleans and unite them with the Seminoles and Indian Negroes there, and cause them to be secured at Fort Pike. The Marine Guard in charge of those now in New Orleans will accompany the prisoners to Fort Pike and remain there until further notice. All Indian property captured from this date. See, they call you Knox property, but you an Indian Negro. Don't let them think you was a Negro that was a property of the Indian. That's not correct. That's them trying to put a spin on the truth. The truth is the Negro is the Indian. The truth is the Negro wasn't the property of the Indian, because all these Negroes here is just Indian Negroes. And then we go to page 2. We see the slaves were few. A very short list. Slaves of the citizens of Fort. 14 slaves and 151 Indian Negroes. You on the road because you a freedman, because see, the Indians had slaves. Explain these 151 then. Explain these warriors then. They're not slaves. They on the road. It's easy to point out they lies. Yeah, you niggas was freedmen. You was escaped Africans. Nah, we not buying it. The whole damn road was Negroes. The real road. All Indian property captured from this date will belong to the courts of detachment making the capture. Look at that. They ain't capture you out of no Africa. Capture your ass out of Florida, out of Indian territory. This property capture will be divided into shares corresponding with the several classes making the capture. Just like how they do with the drug bust. The feds run up in there and they split the dope. You niggas was the dope. Field officers will have 3 shares, company officers 2 shares, and non-commissioned officers and privates 1 share each. And the families of the officers and soldiers who may fall in action at the time of the capture is made will be entitled to the double their allowance respectively. Look at that. They splitting the Negroes captured. The property captured will be divided. Splitting you up and enslaving you. The Seminole Negroes captured by the army will be taken on account of the government. The government had blood on their hands, slavery on their hands, and held subject to the orders of the Secretary of War. The sum of $8,000 will be paid to the Creek chiefs and with the sellouts and warriors by whom they were captured. The ones who dropped the dime or gave up the low, they got backdoored, or who were present at their capture and full for their claim to them. The amount to be apportioned among the battalions in proportion to the numbers respectively taken by each. To the 1st Battalion, $5,700. To the 2nd Battalion, $2,000. And to the Spy Battalion, $300. To induce the Creek Indians to take alive and not destroy the Negroes of citizens who had been captured by the Seminoles, a reward was promised them for all they should secure. They captured and secured 35 who have been returned to their owners. The owners have paid nothing, but the promise to the Indians must be fulfilled. Fake Indians, see. These the $5 tribe. See?
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
The $5 tribe, the fake phony red man dropping the dime. Giving up the N-words, right? The sum of $20 would be allowed to them each from the public funds. Lieutenant Frederick Searle is charged with the execution of this order. He will cause the accounts to be made in the name of the U.S. and receipts to be taken from the Indians in full for all claims to the Negroes, both of the Seminoles and citizens. Lieutenant Searle will call on the commanding general for funds to enable him to comply with this order. Until further orders, the Seminole Negroes will remain at Fort Pike, Louisiana, in charge of the assistant quartermaster of New Orleans, and in the custody of the commanding officer of the post. They will be fed and clothed at the public expense. So see, they're taking your feathers off. And they're trying to transition you already. They say, yeah, you don't need these feathers no more. It's croaker sacks. Yeah. The following named persons, Indians and slaves, will be taken into the service of the United States as guides and interpreters to this army. See, if you were from Africa, why are they using you as a guide? If you were from Africa, why are they using you as an interpreter? Ormond, a slave. Titus Doe, Ben Reese Doe, George Perkins Doe, George Doe, the property of Colonel Hanson, and Blue Snake and Tomoka John Indians. Made slaves out of them. The public will be responsible for any injury which the slaves may sustain while on the campaign, and the period of service both of Indians and slaves will be estimated from the day on which they were first employed by competent authority. George Hanson will, for the present, be attached to headquarters and accompany the Major General commanding by order of Major General Jessup. See, this in the 1800s, man. It's not that long ago, y'all. In the grand scheme of things, this wasn't even that long ago. Some people probably can trace their ancestry back to some of these capitals. We talking about the late 1830s. I already got ancestors on my tree. Past this, I got ancestors on my tree from 1819. The following named persons, Indians and slaves, would be, look, they changed. They went from Negro Indians, now they're saying Indians and slaves, will be taken into the service of the United States as guides and interpreters. The Seminole Negroes will take up the line on much early tomorrow for Tampa under the immediate charge of Captain Barker, 1st Infantry. Brigadier General Eustis will direct an escort of a company of dragons, look at that, to accompany them to Fort Van Swearingen, thence to Tampa. The escort will be furnished from Colonel Taylor's command. General Eustis will cause the necessary transportation to be furnished to Fort Van Swearingen and subsistence to Fort Bassinger on the requisition of Lieutenant Freeman, acting superintendent of the Seminoles. The wagons and escorts furnished from General Eustis's command will return from Fort Van Swearingen by order of Major General Jessup. The Seminole Negroes with Mechanippus and Clouds families. Mechanippus was a Negro. Look, all right, look. Y'all know Mechanippus was said to be a Negro. Mechanippus a Negro. Watch this. See what I'm saying? You gotta watch what they be doing. They try, yo, Mechanippus, and then he had the Negroes. Now Mechanippus was a Negro. Mighty Mechanippus, Black history, preserving the local. Mechanippus, hold on. Also known as Mechanippus, Miko Nupe. Mechanippus, Seminole Chief born. Mechanippus was born. Look. Seminole Nation, the Negro Abraham 100. Mechanippus owned many Negroes. Then was his family. That's his tribe. He didn't own them. That's his tribe. He was a chief. Let me see. Hold on. I'm finna show you. Mechanippus was a Negro. Let me type this. Let me type just what they said about him. I'm gonna just type what they said. They said Mechanippus had more Negro blood than Indian blood. That's what they said about him. More Negro blood. The Indian. I forgot who said it. It was some general talking about it was some U.S. general. See, I ain't even had to type it all. That's what they said about you niggas. They said you look like an African. Look. Look, see, he was a full-blooded Negro. Look. No, they talk about Negro Abraham. Hold on, wait a minute. Got the trees dressed mechanically. Hold on. Seminole War largest. They had something more to do in his word. I have to put it up, but I know what I'm talking about. They was talking about mechanic and something. They were like they were straight up calling him a Negro for real. Where their chiefs was mixed Indian and Negro blood, more than 50 assembled at once, were full Indians. I ain't gonna get too far off. I'll put it up later, but they go look. Negro announced that he was siege of the slave, the chief mechanic. Some type of one more time before I go back. I know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to pull up the soil. Chief mechanic was mostly Negro. Let me just type like that. Mostly Negro blood. They put like what? That's what they said about him. They was like, damn, this nigga black. Chief, your mouth a little. All the chiefs was black. Mechanic, chief of chiefs, head chief, leader mechanic. Look, head chief mechanic, canopy, creek chief of Negro blood. See, so when they be on here, that's why I be stopping and pausing and checking them on site, because they how you throw it off and people get lost in the sauce and shit, and people be talking about, well, see, they said mechanic. Man, you ain't really understanding, because they tell you some BS. The similar Negroes with mechanic. Mechanic is a Negro too, and Cloud's families. And Tuskegee, we know Tuskegee is Negroes, and his family will be taken immediately to Tampa Bay. The remainder of the Indians will be sent to Fort Pierce, whence they will be sent to St. Augustine as soon as practicable. Let's see, man. Negroes. It ain't a red man nowhere. The Seminole Indian Negroes. Now at this post would be embarked forth with on board the transports Tamacuchu and Columbia. Those must be ships under the directions of Captains Abercrombie. See, they got the ships and the captains and the dates and the tribes and where they was going to, New Orleans, and where they came from Florida. Ship captains and everything. See, you can't get these details about some fake ass African slave trade. Hey, Quiet Storm Charm in the house, Tom Washington in the house, salute. See, they wish these records ain't exist. Indians and Negroes with the least possible delay to their new homes west of the Mississippi. They try to get all the Negroes out of Florida. A lot of Negroes said, hell no, we won't go. We still here right now. We ain't went nowhere. A lot of Negroes the only Negroes that they got to leave was the Negroes that they looked up and captured. Then the only Negroes they got to leave. The Negroes they couldn't capture, they ain't went nowhere. Oh man, my people was in Florida before Florida was officially a state. My people was in Florida before the 1820s. It's in the 1830s. Immigrating in this, look, Captain P. Morrison immigrating in all these illegal immigrants, immigrating and dispersing agent for the Seminoles upon the return of Captain Abercrombie from the Caloosahatchee would take charge of all the Indians and Indian Negroes. Thought they was African Americans who may be at this place and transport them to their new homes west of the Mississippi. Except only those who are in the employ of the government. It's a lot of stuff in this, boy. This one right here got a whole lot. It's a wealth of information there. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I ain't never seen nobody talk about it. I did a live stream on it a while back, but I always try to come back to these things because time move on, and you know, new people come to the channel, and the new people never saw this. You know, some of y'all that's been here probably saw this when we talked about it before. But we gonna keep going back and forth to it here and there throughout time. We might touch on, this is a very long read. We just touch on different parts of it, different components of it. Like, we done read a little bit of it, but man, this thing is long, man. Look, I'm strolling down. Y'all see the screen going crazy. Look, black, brown, look, yellowish, look, straight. And look, they got even descriptions of these niggas. We ain't even got to this. So we'll be back and forth coming to this stuff. I don't see nobody that say red. I see some yellow bones. Them our people. I don't see no red, man. Or nobody that say white. I see black. That's in brown. And then yellowish. And my sister yellowish. Look. Prince, a handsome Negro, 30 years old. Dolly, a light black Negro, very old. Peggy, a light black, 48, daughter of Dolly. See, man, this junk is just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous for real, man. It shouldn't be no Dr. Umar's in our tribe, man. It shouldn't be nobody talking about no goof ass pant. All this evidence of who he really is. People just want to ignore, and people want to be a peanut butter Pan-African sandwich ass nigga. Knock it off, man. You want to claim everybody as we black, and they ain't black, and they is black. No, none of that. Negro Indians. I ain't going for nothing else. Don't put me under no black umbrella, none of that goof ass shit. Give me something that nobody else can attach themselves to, and we already got it. I'm saying, I'm just tired of the nonsense, tired of ignorant people that won't read, that won't study, that just keep blabbering over and over again, dumb shit. Over and over again, day after day, week after week, year after year, month after month, keep doing the same, talking about the same dumb shit when the evidence is right there. If you just take some time to look at it, if you just, knockers want to wait till they get locked up to read though. You want to wait, you got to go do 10 years to finally read something.
You big dummy.
I'm gonna keep giving y'all these sources though, man. The chosen is a few, but sooner or later it's gonna be many, cause they ain't gonna be able to ignore this. Y'all pull out these sources, people be talking crazy, pull these sources out on their ass, and let them keep talking crazy and see what they gonna say next. See if they go to hemming and harming. Man, I'm Blackjack, man. It's a house of cards, man. I'm gonna keep getting at y'all with more and more of this kind of stuff, man. We ain't finna let it ride. We ain't finna let people just say what they want and have they way. Hell no. Especially when we know for a fact they're a bunch of liars. I'm Blackjack, man. This House of Cards, man. Catch y'all on the next one. We're gonna get back in Indian territory. And we up out this bitch, y'all. Peace.